Today's show, we will explore the high-stakes world of AI investment and the growing concerns around the returns of these massive investments. I'm Daniel.
And Mateus.
And this is the Human AI Experience. We'll be right back. So on today's show, we would like to talk about how crazy those big tech companies are pouring massive amount of money into AI just to get the numbers running. Like Microsoft reported have invested in AI 70% more than the last quarter, which accounts for $14 billion. That's a lot of money. Yeah. Google nearly close with 12 billion just in the last quarter, and Amazon also investing 14 billion in AI, followed by Meta with 6 billion. Huge investments. And Amazon even bought a nuclear power plant in the US to power their data center. Thinking about growth of AI is just crazy.
It's impressive, like what is happening like in the world. And I think it's interesting, the movement of Amazon, because if you think about how the impact it is in like using energy and power these machines, so it's an interesting movement.
Yeah, to the point that a tech company buys a nuclear energy power plant it's crazy where we are at the moment. But I think the biggest thing is that all these companies are basically investing and not getting enough returns, right? So this is becoming a financial issue, and then a lot of consultant companies and banks, big venture capital firms are starting to do the math, and things are not adding up.
Yeah, I feel that it's like the same bubble that happened in the 2000s, where a lot of money was invested and then it crashed at some point. So I don't know if we're in this moment right now, but it might be. I don't know if you were probably gonna talk about that later, but we can discuss about that.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the claim that some of those I think it's Goldman Sachs and Sequoia venture capital, those big juggernauts of Wall Street, they're basically publishing reports mentioning that there's like a huge gap between the AI infrastructure investments and the actual revenue growth. So they're claiming that for every $1 trillion invested, companies are currently making 100 billion. That means that they're making 10% of what they're spending. So that math doesn't add up, and this is beginning to worry investors, because until things are being questioned, like if you're starting a startup or starting your own company and you have AI in your name or in your pitch deck, you get a lot of money. That's basically where, so the money started like moving from any tech industry or any interesting tech industry idea to any AI type of company or any AI exploitation company, right? So, but there's a lot of those models, or the way AI is evolving is not, first of all, it's not, there's a little bit of a bottleneck. There's a lot of processing power needed for those models to run. And because they need a lot of processing power, they also consume a lot of energy. So I think I saw a report where, like, Google released in the US a couple of months ago, Google Search AI, or I think it's called AI Insights or something like that. So there was a report that mentioned that Google, like a regular Google search, uses an X amount of energy, and a Google AI powered search, that they recently released in the US only, generates or demands 10 times more energy. So it's like insanely more expensive.
Not only more expensive, but actually there's some consequences in global warming, you know, because you use way more energy to create the same amount of of results, you know. I was reading a little bit about that, and then it's crazy. Like, you use like 0.2 kilograms of CO2 to research on Google, and there's like 10 times worse if you use like an AI, you know, because you use a lot of energy to do it. So it's not only the cost, you know, that's some effects on sustainability, and I think we can explore that more in another episode, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we are in a bit of an energy crisis globally, right? And so yesterday I was listening to this podcast from Decoder that talks a little bit about AI being a problem to climate change, but not just AI, but in tech in general. But they were focusing on AI, and the big question was, can we afford this? Where a lot of countries globally had, in the Paris Agreement, made a commitment that by 2030 they will reduce all emissions from fossil fuels and start a big transition to renewable energies, right? But the whole tech investment in AI is just basically blowing up all these investments, right?
And it's
so
crazy. So
where do we go?
Finish. Yeah,
where do we go from
question.
there?
And talking about money, I saw like that this year, OpenAI, even though they have crazy amounts of money put in on the company, they'll have they'll lose as much as $5 billion this year. And for the next year, they're running out of cash already because they need a lot of investments, you know. And it's crazy because the company now estimated to be valued in 80 billion. Like in February, they estimated that. But you know, they're spending so much. They're spending like 7 billion a year or something like that. It's impressive that OpenAI, they're using like they so actually I was impressed. I think there was a release this month or last month about a ChatGPT and OpenAI, and what says is that they're gonna lose like 5 billion this year in revenue. So they are having a massive loss, you know, like in this, and they're running out of money. They're running out of money, so the money that they will plan to spend for the next, they only have like for the next 12 months. So I think Sam Altman is kind of looking for more investors to make the company grow. And the amount of money that they are putting in training AI, it's like crazy, you know, like a lot of billions of dollars are running into training the AI. And the question is like, does it worth like to invest that much money, and how they gonna do it, this money, to become a profitable AI, you know, or a profitable source? Even though they're a billionaire company, you know, they are generating billions every year. They're using more money than they are actually entering in the money flow.
So yeah, I think you can make a comparison with the beginning of Netflix. Netflix had this promise that they would revolutionize streaming, and then for years they operated on a loss. They kept every year increasing their expenditure budget, so basically from 17 billion in content to 18, 19 billion every year. And for a period of time, it was okay. It was operating on a promise that it will return that. But most recently, they got a lot of pressure from investors to be profitable. Then they had to kind of change and migrate their business model. They started increasing their subscription prices. They started adding ads, like there's tiers with ads, especially because they realized that it's so expensive to produce content that their business model wasn't sustainable long term. So they had to kind of like lower and be more and adjust to that reality. And I'm not 100% sure if they are still 100% profitable. I think they still might be running on a promise that they will be better. Yeah, you can make that parallel with AI. They're basically burning cash with the promise that they will be revolutionary at some point.
Many disruptive companies had the same promise, and then they need to find out a way. For example, Facebook was the same. They were burning a lot of cash until they found like a way of creating marketing, and now they disrupted the market again. Because at the time that you create this kind of approach, when you use all the data that you have from a billion people and sell to the companies to do ads, so they generated a lot of money. There's so much cash flow in their hands, because they created a new market, on that. And I think that happened with YouTube too. It's impressive how they fixed that. But I don't see the same model applied to OpenAI, and to ChatGPT. So I'm not sure how they're gonna disrupt the market in this sense. If I have the answer, I'll probably be be selling for them.
I think it's the bottleneck is energy consumption, processing power, because if that, and maybe training data as well, because ChatGPT 3.5, ChatGPT 4.0, they all basically trained in the entire web. So there's not that much more data to train unless paid or paid wall companies or news outlets. So I know they have been closing deals with a lot of news companies to be able to access their database and their source of data, but I don't know if that's enough to make ChatGPT 5 be revolutionary as they're promised, for example.
I think the revolution that they're expecting is more in the sense of the AI search. So if you think about Google has been like the biggest player in the market for the last like 20 years, and I feel that Google it decreased a lot in the quality of the searches. Even though I still use Google, but I feel that lately just the first two pages are relevant, and sometimes only the first one. And it used to be super assertive like a couple of years ago. So I feel that they're losing the battle like right now, because if you use AI to create this search, it might be the way that they will change the market, into a profitable market. If you create the same model as Google, but then with AI, maybe that's a game changing.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're seeing like finally a transformation into how we search the web, and there's a term that I think it was coined by Nilay Patel from TheVerge.com, and then it's about Google Zero or something like that, that mentions that if you're using AI to search, and AI navigates and gets the information from websites without you having to enter that website and displays that information for you, then your website loses traffic. And if your website doesn't have traffic, you cannot support yourself, because your support comes from advertising, and advertising needs X number of people seeing that advertising on your website. So it's a bit of a paradox, because if these people cannot survive, then AI cannot extract information from these places. And so nobody knows. It's uncharted territory what's going to happen from now on. So that's the big questions. How can you still have access to news and information using AI search without completely destroying these companies?
I think they should create something similar to Google. Like that might be the way, So you still put websites there. Maybe create something more, a bit more like an OpenAI, like a chat. But it needs to be something like Google to keep the same market. But maybe we're not envision the changes that will be necessary. Like maybe I don't know. I think we're not envision the future. As usual, we just people adapt. So maybe if they created this kind of search, things will change in the market in some way, that the ads will run in a different way, or maybe part of the ad will be attached to your website. I don't know. Something will need to be sorted out in this whole new scenario.
Definitely. I think what I learned about search in regard, because OpenAI just announced their search product, which is still in beta, and then I don't think it's public available yet. But I understood from people that were already testing it out is that because of all these deals that they did with these news companies, for example, I think Vox Media made a deal with them, the New York Times, there's some deals that they made where they pay to get access to that data. So then AI is going to show that data and it's going to link to the original article or something like that. So that is one way, for example, that you could do it. But I don't know how sustainable it is. And maybe we're going to end up in a scenario, because it's also expensive to buy to make these deals and licensing this content. We might ended up in a scenario where it's very different from today, where you have a monopoly, where Google is basically eating your search queries. So maybe in the near future, we'll have different places that you would go to get different kinds of search results. So let's say you go to Search AI from OpenAI to get access to the Vox Media articles or the New York Times articles, and some other places that are not paying to access this information. You wouldn't get that, but you would get other sources of data. It's gonna It's gonna be fragmented a bit, maybe in the future. It's interesting to speculate, but we're definitely in a transition period.
One thing that I was in my mind, actually, it's maybe what's gonna happen is like a sponsor will be attached to the search. For example, you have a sponsor in a site, and then there will be like the news article attached to that, in the search itself. So maybe this research is powered by or is sponsored by, and this. So maybe it's something that might be more. I don't know. Maybe something like that is gonna happen. Maybe the research itself is gonna be advertised by a company or sponsored.
I mean, not that different from what it is today.
Yeah, but in different
Google,
ways.
at least.
In different ways.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where we're heading towards too. But I think we kind of went a bit of a tangent talking about search. I just want to bring us back to the whole cost of AI thing, because there's like a pessimistic prediction from a MIT Institute professor, Darren Acemoglu or something like that. So basically, he predicted that the promised AI productivity gains Wall Street and all the tech giants are expecting won't happen like they think it will. So basically, he forecasts that AI will increase US productivity by only 0.5% and GDP growth by only 0.9 over the next decade. So I don't know if I'm that pessimistic, because things can evolve pretty fast, but let's see.
Yeah, but
what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that to be honest, I kind of agree with this professor. Maybe the results that everyone is talking are too much optimistic, and they're thinking about the best scenario of AI, where productivity will enhance a lot and we will have a lot of good stuff, happening. and new and big stuff, So that's the prediction. I think if you think about it, if you increase 4% of GDP, like it's a lot. So I believe AI is not that powerful as they are selling it, for now. And it might take like decades to get in the power of changing the industry in a row, Because what I see right now is like the power of the tools that we have. They can increase a little bit our productivity. They can increase what we can show to the clients, like the use that we can do, like to enhance a text or enhancing research. I don't think that the tools that we have right now, they are revolutionizing so much the way that we work and the way that we are producing stuff. To increase the GDP to 4%, So I think it's increasing the productivity right now, but not in levels that can like explode,
Yeah, and that basically leads me to what most of these analysts are arguing, right? Is that AI is expected to solve extremely complex problems to justify the high costs, which it's currently unable to do so. Of course, I think the sentiment, the overall market sentiment is that it will pay off at some point, all this investment, right? But there is a potential bubble. And experts also argue that no killer applications of AI have emerged. So there's not like this particular app that is a productivity, like this. There's not a killer app that can drive or they can generate this optimism, right? So, but
I think for now, like what we have, the tools they are like assistants, like or an intern for you, for example. So you ask some stuff, and then they generate like some materials that we still need to curate, or still need to take that material, understand, change some stuff, and then make it better, and then give to the client,
Yeah. So just to summarize, Sequoia, I think, published like this article that it's called, maybe it's a bit clickbaity, but like it's called the 600 billion cost of AI or something like that. Yeah. And that basically does the math that we talked about, that the costs are way too high to be even able to predict when you can get that back in the near term. So yeah, we're gonna see what is the implication, what's gonna be the implications for money investments from now on in AI. I would assume that they will continue for a certain period of time, but then maybe the bubble will explode, and then only the consolidated players or these massive companies like Microsoft and Apple, Google, Amazon that have a lot of money, they will be able to continue evolving these tools to get closer to where all the predictions are. That's my assumption of where we're gonna go.
Yeah, for me it's the same. I feel that we're still in the beginning of this wave, so that's why I'm saying that the tools are not that powerful yet. But the potential is that they get in a position that might be so powerful that we can be way more productive, So we can maybe have a power of one person instead of one person. We have a power of 10 persons at the same time, using AI. So maybe enhance the human power is the next level of AI, and I feel that these big techs, they can, if they still put in money, and then throughout the years it might happen. So let's see.
Cool. We reached the end of our episode. If you're interested of how AI is evolving and how you can introduce it in your life or in your work, subscribe to the podcast in your favorite podcast service and follow us for more. Let's explore AI together. If you have any questions for us, you can reach out to us at hello@humanaixp.com or connect with us on Instagram @humanaixp. Thanks for listening. See you next week.